Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? How are you doing? And welcome to another episode of Barefoot Conversation with your girl, Magdalene. How are you today? So my name is Magdalene Adenike, and I am a transformation expert. I have two businesses. The first is called Music Relief Foundation, where we work with young people to unleash their creative spirit using music as therapy workshops to build confidence and self-esteem. I am also the CEO and founder of Magdalene Adenike, where I work and coach women who are struggling to connect, to find their purpose in life. I help them to identify, to connect or reconnect with that purpose in order for them to live a purposeful life. So how are you doing? How are everything with you? This is another wonderful Tuesday. We had a wonderful bank holiday right here for us in England. How was it? What did you do? What did you get up to in the long weekend? So from Friday evening right up until yesterday evening, what were you doing? Let me know. Hit me up and let's have that conversation. I had such wonderful feedback, as I usually do, both online and offline, from last week's show about juvenile delinquencies that is beyond parental control. Juvenile delinquencies beyond parental control. That topic was quite a heavy one and was quite an emotional one, because when you look at the parents and put yourself in that parent's shoes, and especially that parent that is struggling with that child or those children, as the case may be, what can you do when you're crying out for help? And because the outside world may want to blame the parents and say it's the parents' fault that this child is this. And I gave us so many things that people have said about children who are stressed, people dealing with drugs, alcohol, and so many different things. And not just the fact that they are angry, but when you include all these different substances, it makes it even worse. And then obviously with their hormonal changes at that time, I call them children, they're young adults, teenagers. How does a parent deal with that? And so those were the things I talked about last week, Tuesday, and it was such a powerful topic that I had so many people coming back and just kind of telling me different things and giving me so many instances and so many researches that is going out there. And it's amazing that so many people are dealing with so many issues. And it's pivotal that we talk about these issues, because if we don't, you find that many people are suffering in silence because they feel that it's just them, it's unique to them. And I just want to say quickly that it's not unique to you, because there are other people out there who are also going through similar issues and looking for that support system. And I think that's the number one thing, for parents to come together and begin to work together and support each other. We're not obviously looking to have children who then begin to be problematic. That's not what any parent wants. But unfortunately, you find that those are the issues that so many parents are having to deal with when police are knocking at their door and saying, oh, your child has been involved in this, and your child is the perpetrator, not the victim this time. It's what does the parent do? Because the society and the world are quick to blame the parents, but we also need to look at so many things. There's so many factors that we need to look at. But one thing I just want to stand on is that a child starts from home. Their first training starts from home. So as parents, we must task ourselves and ensure that we are giving our children that the right example, showing them. And I talked about quickly last week about teaching our children how to lie indirectly when the parent receives a phone call and says to the child, tell that so and so I'm not here. When you as a parent, you know fully well you're here. What are you teaching the child? You're teaching the child how to lie. So from that young age, that child is cultivated that spirit of lying. So when that child grows and begins to lie, you can't then tell that child, stop lying to me. Where did you learn this from? They learned it from you, obviously, as a parent. This is not brain surgery. You taught them. Indirectly, you've taught them how to lie by telling them when they picked up that call and it's for you, you tell them, or tell so and so, I'm not here. When you're standing there, you're sitting there, just because you don't want to talk to them. If you don't want to talk to that individual, like I said last week, you either tell the individual, you answer the call yourself and say, you know what, I'm busy right now. If you truly are busy, or maybe you just don't, I don't know, I can't talk with you right now, but say something to that person. Don't teach your child how to lie. Anyways, that was last week's show. Today's show I'm talking about, it's another wonderful show. So today's show is all about, does success have an identity? Does success have an identity? I just want to quickly talk about the fight that took place on Saturday, and that is something that has been going on for a long time. Obviously, the lead up to it, and obviously then the fight on Saturday and the aftermath of that fight. So we had Anthony Joshua and I can't pronounce his name, Kalisko. I don't want to spoil the man's name. And so obviously, I'm not a betting person, so many people are looking at the opponent, Anthony's opponent, let me use that word because I can't pronounce his name, as probably the best bet because he had experience on his side. With all his fights, he's lost that twice, and he was talking the talk and everything, and he has been walking the walk, obviously. And it was a case of, this is someone that has experience, almost like the David and Goliath scenario. Not saying that Anthony was not capable, not is, but was not, because obviously he's shown himself to be much more than capable. But and look at experience, his opponent had that on his side. Yes, Anthony had that, but I'm talking about more experience. But then obviously on the 11th round, what happened? The opponent wasn't expecting that, but the inevitable happened, and he was knocked out on the 11th round, and Anthony Joshua was declared world heavyweight boxing champion. And that is something that so many of us have been screaming and shouting and celebrating. And I say so many of us have been screaming and shouting and celebrating, in as much as so many of us don't know this guy personally, but we've come to identify with him as our own. And that leads me to today's topic. And that's what I was thinking of when I was thinking about today's topic. Does success have an identity? I just want to quickly write that and ask the question that I wrote down on the brief. I said, who are you as a person? Are you defined by what people say about you? Or are you driven by your vision? Is your identity shaped by the things you own, your race and sex, and the things you've done? Today's show is about looking at the individual and how his or her mindset is programmed for success. So I said briefly earlier that as Anthony Joshua's story or success story led me to today's topic. So let's look at Anthony Joshua and just kind of analyze this young man as a person. He's a young man, he's 27 years old, so he's a young man. So let's analyze everything about him. After his win, there was so many stories that has come out since his win, and even the lead up with the documentary that we had, and then the lead up after his win. The main place I want to focus on, we'll talk about the race. The fact that Africans, not just Africans, Nigerians are all coming out saying, this is our person has come and he has won. And so me as a Nigerian, I must admit that I've been one of those people. I was like, yes, our person, our brother, our son has done us proud and has stood out in the world. And he is reigning because he is from Nigeria. His mom is full-blown Nigerian. His dad is half Nigerian, half Irish. So we're claiming him as our own person. Successful. But his story hasn't always been that way. His story hasn't always been that of success. His story was the fact that when you look at it, he was born and bred right here, but then his mom took him back home to Nigeria for a short period of time, himself and his siblings, back home to Nigeria for a short period of time. And then she brought him back. So he went to boarding school, so a very tough boarding school back home. And things were not that easy for him. So he came back, she brought them back to the UK. And when they brought them back to the UK, he was following sports, as he is now obviously, and football. And then an incident took place in the playground, and that's where things began to escalate on a downward spiral for him. And then he began to have troubles with the law. He was smoking, he was partying, clubbing girls, and all the likes that just kind of was taking him down the wrong path. And at that time, I just want to pause before I go any further. At that time, there was no Great Britain saying this is our person. Neither was there Nigerians saying this is our person, because this is not somebody you don't want to be identified with such a person, because this person is not doing you proud. And I can imagine what the parents would have been thinking of going through, because it's not a child that is doing them proud. So you don't want to shout it out on the rooftop that this is my child. You want to ignore your child, you want to abandon your child, but then it's not a thing that you want to say, yeah, this is my child. But this is what happened until we are told, according to the story, his cousin at 17 introduced him to boxing. So he didn't necessarily live that life of of that downward spiral and the criminal activities that he was beginning to get involved with. But boxing began to show him a different path, and boxing was steering him into a different path in his life, and he began to follow in a right path to where he is right now, that he's celebrated worldwide. And that brings me now to my topic. Does success have an identity? About identity, what does that mean? First and foremost, let me give you a definition of what success means. Success means the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. The accomplishment of an aim or purpose. That's what success means. And then identity is the fact of being who or what a person or thing is. The fact of being who or what a person or thing is. So success is the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. Identity is the fact of being who or what a person is. And then my question to us, does success have an identity? So when you talk about success, does it have an identity? Do you know who you are? Is it a person? Does it only belong to a specific group of people? Is it something that because your family is successful and automatically that child, when he or she is born, becomes automatically successful in life? Is it only for a particular race or for a particular sex, either the males or the females? Does it have an identity? So coming from last week's show, when we talked on juvenile delinquencies and young people who obviously have gone down a downward spiral like Anthony Joshua was at that time, would we look at them as successful? We could probably look at them as successful in criminal activities, but is that something that we would embrace? When Anthony Joshua was going down that route and going to court cases, being in prison for that period of time, I think for 9 or 10 months, and possibly facing a long 10-year period of time in prison, did anybody embrace him and say, yes, you're successful? Did any nation scream out and put him on TV that the world could see that this is a successful guy and is somebody we want to emulate, or we want our children to emulate? So imagine at the age of 70, when his cousin introduced him to boxing, he was at that point in time facing a possible 10-year jail time. He's now 27. So that would have meant that from 17 to 27, he would have spent his time in jail if things didn't turn around for him. If he didn't come to the realization that, you know what, Anthony, if he didn't have that conversation with himself, that it's time to fix up your life, he would have spent that whole time that he has spent 10 years working hard, training, winning all his fights, all 19 fights that he's had, and he's won every single one of them. And now celebrated as a global icon. And there are talks about Hollywood doing a film on his life. None of that would have happened. It might have happened after he'd come out of prison at this very age, at 27, and now he's having to start to begin to rebuild his life. So he would have wasted 10 years. I don't know if you really understand what I'm saying. Does success have an identity? That's a question I'm asking you. Identity, I really want to just draw this in so that we fully understand, for the young people especially. So I want the parents out there, please share this video with your young people so that they can see it and understand. Especially those who are trying to, you can see they are beginning to step out in a wrong way. It's time for them to wake up, to understand that this life, you don't have two chances, you just have one chance to get it right. Identity is the fact of being who or what a person or thing is. Anthony Joshua has come to understand that he is a person that has a purpose. His purpose is not just to become a boxer. His purpose, his personal purpose, is to win every fight that he goes on. He has, when he goes on that boxing ring, his dream, his desire is to ensure he comes out as the proclaimed winner. That's his purpose. And by so doing, he has impacted lives, because when young people look at him and look back at where he's coming from, many can identify with that. And they look at how far he's gone, and they've seen that he has been able to turn his life around, and he's used the medium of boxing. That is something that I would expect them to want to emulate. So when we come back to the topic, the success has an identity. It has an identity when the individual has come to realize, as the definition says, that they are a person, they have a purpose in life. When that individual has come to realize that they have a purpose in life, and they must live in that purpose. They must live through their vision, have a vision, and be tunnel driven. They just be tunnel focused and just be focused on that vision, not being derailed to the left, not being derailed to the right. At that age of 17, he started a bricklaying course. And he said it. He told his boss that, he had to go away for 2 weeks for, I think that was around about the Olympics, for boxing. And the boss said to him, he said he will be back after 2 weeks. The boss said to him, you either choose boxing or bricklaying. So at that point in time, he had a choice, with the reality that if he chose boxing, he can't come back to his bricklaying job because he would have lost the job. And so many people were like, with this now, I will lose the assurance of my paycheck coming in order for me to chase after a purpose that I may not win. So you've got 100% assurance that you have money coming in, and you have this 50-50, sometimes even 70-30 hanging there, but this is your purpose. This is long term. This is something that has happened right now and then. What does a person do? This is more attractive because there's assurance, there's security. That's the word I was looking for. There's security right here looking at you. So what does a person do? Most people, because of that security, will stick on, but that's not their heart. Their heart doesn't lie there. They're sticking on because this is security. This is not secured. But he came to understand. He came to the realization that this is his purpose in life. This is where his heart lies. So whether or not when he goes, he wins or not, this is where his passion is. So he must give this a fighting chance. And so happy, myself and so many of us out there are so happy that he did this. Because now, he's now a global icon. He's now someone that people can look up to and say, wow, I want to be like you. Thank you for following after your dream and giving and paving the pathway for people like me to come up. And that's what he's done. He's left a lasting legacy for so many, not just the young people, but for so many people out there. So coming back to today's topic, does success have an identity? Success has an identity when the individual has come to realize that they have a purpose in life and they must live in accordance to that purpose for them to live a fulfilled life. That is when success has an identity. So success, to answer my questions and many questions that some of us may have out there, success is not for this particular group of people or for that race or for that sex or for those sexes. No, it's for everybody. But success has different looks. So what I class as success, someone else may not class it as success, but that's what I class as success. So for me, whatever it is I'm trying to achieve, and I then achieve it, that is success for me. So that is what I embrace. That's my identity. That's who I am. Because people now begin to affiliate and boxing, because that's his identity. He's a boxer. He's now become, that has taken a whole new role. So now this is beyond his race. This is beyond his ethnicity or nationality. It's now become who he is as a person. And as a person, he's a boxer. That's his job. That's his life vocation, if you want to put it as that. That's what his calling is, and that's what he's doing. That's where his passion lies. And because he's been doing that for the past 10 years, he has left the life of crime behind him and channeled all those negative energies that he used to channel before in a negative way. He has channeled it in a positive way. That he's now able, Saturday gone, he's able to stand in a boxing ring that millions of people were watching worldwide. And he was able to beat the previous world reigning boxing champion. That is a massive, massive, massive achievement. But then, after achieving that, does a person then sit down on their laurels and say, that's it? Or is there many more rivers to cross? And from articles that are coming out from the papers since Saturday, he's not sitting down on his laurels. He's like, okay, we've done this. Ready for the next challenge, ready for the next challenge. Because he has come to understand that his identity is now people see him as that famous boxer, and he must live his life in accordance to that, not to please anybody, because he doesn't have to please anybody. He's proven himself. But he must live his life to fulfill his goals, whatever his goals are. So his goal was to beat that guy. On Saturday, he has done that. So he's now moved it to the next level. What's the next level? I don't know. So I'm just using him as an example because his story is so relevant, because it's something that just happened so recently, just as recent as Saturday, just a few days ago. So coming back to the topic, does success have an identity? It has an identity when that individual understands that he or she has a purpose in life. When you live in accordance to your purpose, when you live in accordance to your purpose, you exhibit things that you never even knew were there, because you begin to walk in purpose. You begin to develop self-esteem and confidence that will cause you to push boundaries that people might have placed there, or you might have placed there by your own self, because you're living your purpose. Your purpose begins to be that driving force that pushes you and stirs you and does not give you peace, and that you don't find comfort in just sitting on your laurels, because you want to push past, you want to break down every wall that you might have had around you. What it means to have to answer my own question, does success have an identity? So when you come to understand that it does have an identity, so it's now down to you as that individual to begin to walk in that purpose, so that you begin to see the manifestation of what it is that you need and require. So I'm cautious of the time. As I look at the time, my time is fastly coming to an end. I begin to summarize everything I've said, and I say to you, understand that you're not here to be a bystander of your own life. You are here to impact, first and foremost, your life, because you need to impact yourself first and foremost, the life of your family members, and then the wider society. That's why you are here. But for you to do that, you must understand what it is that you're meant to be doing whilst you are still here. There's so many unused potentials that are now buried 6 foot under, because those individuals did not understand why they were here. Some of them understood but procrastinated. Procrastination is a killer of time. And before they knew it, there was no longer any more time. So don't be like one of those people. Let Anthony Joshua's story, let that be the inspiration that you need to push you to begin to research and find out and become hungry to find out what your purpose is and begin to walk in it. It's not easy. Walking in your purpose is not easy. Trying to accomplish those visions, those dreams that you have, they are not easy. And there is no security. When I gave you the example of that security of a paycheck with the bricklaying job that Anthony Joshua had, or the uncertainty of boxing at that time, whether he would win or he would not win, whether he would be pushed out of the team or not, that's uncertainty. But he followed his heart. So when you're following your vision, it's not always a bed of roses. Life is not a bed of roses anyways. But because it's your vision, and it's a baby that you've given birth to, and you need to nurture, and you need to take time to grow and teach that baby, feed that baby. You can't just abandon that baby. You're willing. Once you train your mind to begin to see your vision as a baby, you're willing to go the long haul, no matter how long it may be, irrespective of the fact that people may not agree with you, especially your loved ones. It doesn't matter. You get to that point, like, it doesn't matter. Because you know your end goal is bigger than what people are saying right now. So, does success have an identity? Yes, it does. When the individual comes to realize that he or she has a purpose in life. So this is Magdalene Adenike. I am a transformation expert running 2 businesses. First one, working with young people to unleash their creative spirit in order for them to live a purposeful life. The second one is coaching and working with women, helping them to identify, to connect and reconnect with their passions in life, for them to live a purposeful life. I have just a few minutes. I have 4 more minutes left. I just want to quickly tell us, as I've done for the last 2 weeks, about 2 wonderful events coming up. First is my one. I've had to go back and retweet the title. It's talking about the role of storytelling, in career orientation. When you're in that valley of decision, what should you do with your career? Storytelling has a powerful role to play. And that's coming up on the 3rd of June. On the 3rd of June, right here in London, England, in Brixton. It's from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and it's only £15. And you can find out further information on my website, and that's www.magdaleneadenike.com. And there's another wonderful event coming up on the 20th of May, so we are right here in May, so in a few weeks' time. It's called Purpose Walk. And as the name implies, it's for people, both male and female, who are ready to live a purposeful life. With so many wonderful speakers to help you to gain clarity in your life. And that's on the 20th of May, and that's taking place in Canary Wharf. Get further information on www.purposewalk.com. Until next time, understand you're not here to waste time. Understand that you have a purpose. Find what your purpose is, and live in accordance. You have a great day. Bye for now.